Hello and good evening from the Pearl Assurance National Indoor Championships. We're paying our first ever visit to RAF Cosford near Wolverhampton, and we're delighted to be here for an event that should get our athletics year off to a great start. It's accepted here these championships are the best ever staged indoors in Britain. They're always a useful gauge for the athletes to see how their winter training's been going, and especially important this time round because the European Indoor Championships, they're coming up in Madrid next month. Well, coming up for you here on Channel 4 tonight, we have live two semi-finals, the men's 400 metres and the men's 200 as well. Quite a lot, though, for us to catch up on already. We're going to go straight to our commentary team. It's Alan Parry, and first of all, we say good evening to Peter Matthews.
And one event is already determined, and that's the women's high jump. And we look back at that at the height 1.85 meters. And this is Diana Davies, who is in magnificent form already this year. She cleared 1.91 meters at the recent Cosford Games 2 weeks ago. And this is her first attempt. She cleared 1.75 and 1.80 very easily. This 1.85, 3/4 of an inch over 6 feet. Oh, and a tremendous clearance. Cleared it by a long way, really. And that jump was enough to win the competition, with Claire Summerfield of Birchfield Harriers in second place at 1.80. But there's no doubt that Diana Davies is the class of British women's high jumping at the moment. And just look how easy this clearance is. She went on, in fact, to attempt a new British indoor record of 1.95. Couldn't quite do that this time, but there's plenty more to come for Diana Davies.
And now attention switches to the track and the first of 3 semi-finals in the men's 400 metres, with only the winner plus the fastest loser to qualify for tomorrow's final. The 400 metres, the event which provided so much excitement and which saw such a raising of standards in Great Britain in 1985. And here is one young man who was very much at the forefront. Roger Black, just 19, winner of the European Junior Championship title, and a man obviously with stacks of potential. Here's the lineup. Steve Thomas of Cheltenham in lane 1, Roger Black, Southampton and Eastleigh in 2. Mark Holton, better known of course as a hurdler, and switched up to 400 metres hurdles in 1985 with some success. He's in lane 3. Andrew Medley of Spembra in lane 4. Roger Black, very much the favourite, not only in this semi-final, but to lift the title itself. His personal best indoors, 47.24. One of the crop of very, very fine 400-metre runners, coached by Mike Smith down in Southampton. There's Holton, who very rarely runs the flat 400 metres and looked a bit ponderous in his heat. And Medley on the outside. Problem with the starter. Of course, the man who's missing is the man who really did light a few fires in 1985, and that was Derek Redmond, who broke that 10-year-old United Kingdom record. But with men like Black and Redmond around, and Phil Brown, who you remember started the season in magnificent style and then was unfortunate enough to suffer a serious hamstring injury, the future for British men's 400 metre running looks rosier than it has ever been. So Black, the European junior champion, in lane 2. From right to left, it's Thomas, Black, Holton and Medley. They run lanes for the first lap, and Black has gone storming away in lane 2. Beautiful build and a smooth, fluent runner. Black in the green top, Medley going well too on the outside. The young man from Spembra, whose personal best looks in danger here. Holton falling behind the others, and Thomas on the inside, moving through into 3rd place as they break at the bell. But it's Roger Black dominating this race from the front. And the fight is on for the fastest loser's position. Roger Black easing up as he comes into the penultimate straight, and Holton finding it hard there at the back, number 15, all in white. But Black gritting his teeth as he goes into the final bend, has run impressively and smoothly, and takes his place dutifully in the final. The time, 48.34. Second place to Medley, who will have to wait and see if he can qualify as the fastest loser. But Roger Black, an impressive winner. So the 19-year-old coming down the back straight, knew that the race was his. Powerful upper body build and eased into the final bend. So important, of course, that he had that gap between himself and the rest of the field. Very difficult to attack off the final bend in this indoor arena where the finishing straight is so short. And a 48.34 victory for the smiling Roger Black. Chris Akabusi, incidentally, was eliminated in an earlier heat, underlining the standard in these 3A's championships. Akabusi, sorry, eliminated in an earlier heat of the 200 metres, I should say, with the semi-finals of that to come later. Akabusi, another of the fine crop of 400-metre men. And really, with such competition over the distance, the situation can only improve. Mark Holton in the foreground of that picture there, looking somewhat older than his 27 years, will at least be pleased that he has got that race out of the way. Doesn't really enjoy running indoors. As we move now to the second semi-final and the lineup. In lane 1, Paul Dunn of Liverpool Harriers. In lane 2, wearing number 14, Steve Hurd of Wolverhampton and Bilston. Paul Sanders of Southampton and Eastleigh. I noticed that Dunn, in fact, hasn't taken his place in the lineup. Obviously, a late injury has cost him his place. Kermit Bentham of Thames Valley Harriers on the left-hand side of the picture, all in black. So just 3 men, then, in this second semi-final. It's a shame that Dunn wasn't able to be here. He looked good in his heat. But Steve Hurd, now in the right-hand side of the picture in the red shorts, very much the favourite. Third in last year's United Kingdom Championships in Antrim, when in fact he was ahead of Roger Black. And one of those men trying to break through to the relay team. Being really pressurised here, though, by Bentham on the outside. And that'll be good for Steve Hurd. Bentham, the 25-year-old who was a finalist last year when he placed 4th, just hasn't got the gap that he needed to make some impact on Hurd, who eases in. Remember, Black's time was 48.34, so 48.09, a good time then for Steve Hurd, and he joins Roger Black in the final. So Steve Hurd will have been relieved that Paul Dunn, the 22-year-old Liverpool Harrier, wasn't able to take his place in that final, but Kermit Bentham gave him a race. And Hurd, coming off the steep gradient of that final bend, had, like Black before him, stolen enough room to be under no real pressure as he crossed the line in a good time. So, as Hurd joins Black in the final, the athletes already out on the track for the third semi-final, which featured during the last 12 months. That's number 31, Trevor Whittle, in lane 3. A more familiar figure, though, is Max Robertson, who had a very good 1985 and must be a contender for a Commonwealth Games medal over 400 metres hurdles. He and Mark Holton, great pals and rivals during 85. Robertson, talking to him before the event, felt he was in good shape, and rather like Holton, doesn't really enjoy running indoors. It's strange how many athletes do seem to have an aversion to the indoor track, but of course at this stage of the season, when they have the early months of their long, hard winter slog training behind them, it can provide a very pleasant break from training, and of course a good competitive run out to find their true level of fitness. Tomlin, the Belgium, in lane 1 then. Steve Garrett of Loughborough, the British University champion, in 2. Trevor Whittle, the Scotsman, number 1 in Scotland at this event, in 3. And Max Robertson of Wolverhampton and Bilston in lane 4. The winner plus the fastest loser to the final. Look out for the Scotsman then, Whittle, in lane 3. And what a fine start Whittle has made. 6th in the United Kingdom Championships. Looks to have improved a great deal, and will be leading the Scottish Challenge in Edinburgh in the 400 metres. Tomlin, the Belgian, or rather Robertson, I should say, looked to be very close to stepping out of his lane there as he pursued Whittle. And up the bell, with a very fast 200 metres behind them, it's Whittle who leads from Robertson. In third place, it's Garrett. 22.7 was the time at the bell for Whittle. And Robertson is running splendidly here. He must have a hope of qualifying as the fastest loser. He's pushing Whittle all the way to the line. And Whittle wins it in 47.57, so the fastest heat, which must mean that Max Robertson should qualify as the fastest loser alongside Black, Hurd and Whittle in the final.